All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, continuing our Hulk Hogan Never Ending series. I think this is part 11, right? Is it 11?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is outdoing Jason.
All right, man. Let's rock and roll. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's jump into this,
It's
man. Hulk,
1998, by the way. This is
yes,
the beginning of 1998 NWO Hogan,
right at
Hollywood.
we're starting right after the stink fest of Starrcade.
Yeah.
How they just totally ruined a 15-month feud. What was probably supposed to be one of their greatest matches of 1997. They go into that match. We talked about it, and it just the execution was all done wrong. I mean, and now even after this, shortly after Starrcade, the NWO started showing signs of division within the group, that there was dissension. I mean, at this point, you're together a year and a half. I mean, most factions don't even last this long. I mean, so it is time to kind of do a rift in the storyline with them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it only makes sense. The Nitro after Starrcade, Hogan said that Nick Patrick was the only referee. According to J.J. Dillon,
which Hogan was right, not for nothing.
He was.
That's why that ending was so
appointed.
That's why that ending was so stupid with Bret Hart becoming the referee.
Exactly.
Because Bret Hart was only the referee for that Larry Zbyszko Eric Bischoff match. He wasn't an official WCW official that was on standby just in case anything happened. So that was stupid.
I don't know. I think they should have just they should have just did it to where even if Nick Patrick counted a 3 on Sting and Sting wins the belt legitimately, I mean, they just something like that should have just that should have been the outcome.
Yeah,
and it should have held, but unfortunately it didn't. So then J.J. Dillon comes out, says the decision was final. Sting challenged any member of the NWO at that point. I mean, this is where all the kind of chaos is coming from, because they're trying to figure out where they're going as far as going forward with the title. So
they didn't. Sting was still Sting's still the champion though at this point.
At this point right now, yeah. It was I think what was it, another week before they did it.
It was on Thunder. We'll get to that in a second. But he eventually got stripped.
Thunder. So Bischoff had come out, said that Hogan accepted the challenge naturally against Sting. Hogan and Sting, they fought on Nitro, but if naturally they go off the air before the match even ends. Gee, where have I seen that before?
Yeah, Hogan. So this is the I'm sorry, not Halloween. This is the Starrcade rematch. Hogan versus Sting, the rematch.
Yep.
Everyone's anticipating this, and then they go off the air before the match finishes.
And what's a shame, because I do remember when I was watching the Monday Night War episodes, that the rating going into this match, Nitro was killing Raw, and then all of a sudden it went down right around the time that all of this was going on. I mean, it was just, why would you do that? Really? I mean, you're having the greatest rematch from that rivalry, and you don't get to see it. I don't understand. So in any event, now as the dissension is in the ranks of the NWO, you remember they showed up in separate limos. This is where I think they had like 5 limos and 30 guys coming out of it.
They've never had 5 limos and 30 guys. That's just something that I think Paul White, Big Show, says to kind of exaggerate.
I know, but I love what he said.
They came out. They were in 2 different limos. Yeah.
No, Paul White.
But the real story, and we'll kind of touch on Wolfpack a little bit later. The real story was that supposedly Hogan and Nash, they had a lot of heat between each other. They were creative differences, so that's why they eventually make that split between the Wolfpack and NWO Hollywood, which we'll get into in a little while. But yeah, they came out in 2 separate limos, and you can see there's like some dissension.
Yeah. It was actually Macho Man versus Luger, I believe, on the January 5th Nitro.
Yeah, it's the week after. The week after.
Yeah, he goes to hit Luger with a steel chair, and Bischoff tries to stop him.
Yeah.
Hogan shoves Savage, and now there's dissension between these two. Gee, go figure. Yeah. Hogan and Savage. Savage slaps him, and Nash knocks out Savage.
And then Nash just walks away.
Yeah, I mean, now you're watching this going, all right, what direction are we going?
Yeah, because
what's going on?
The story was that J.J. Dillon was trying to like clean up the NWO from doing stuff, so they didn't want any like wild like fights and stuff like that. And we'll get into that in a second with the whole
like we've seen for the last year and a half.
Right, exactly. So
now all of a sudden we want to clean it up. Okay. And this was right around the time where WCW now debuted their new Thursday night program, Thunder.
Yeah, well, before we even get into that, so that was the week after that Hogan and Sting match, and they're saying, "Oh, we can't show the footage, we can't show what happened, on Nitro. It's legally we're not allowed to show." And Hogan saying he's the champion. So the scam of it was that they wanted everybody to tune in to the debut of Thunder to show the footage of what happened at the end of Hogan versus Sting on Monday Nitro. So they made us wait a week and a half to find out what happened, just so we would all tune in to Thunder, the Thunder debut.
Yeah, and that was actually the only time I believe I watched that, other than the time that Luger won the title, because
Luger won the title on Nitro.
Oh yeah, my bad. Actually, then I guess I only watched Thunder once.
Yeah, I used to watch Thunder because Wolfpack was on Thunder, so I used to watch Thunder.
Yeah, I never. I mean, it was good to start at the start, but then because he had these guys signed to contracts for so many least amount of working days, he had to find a whole new roster to kind of put on there. And it was the kind of roster nobody wanted to watch.
Yeah, it slowly gets worse and worse, and then once they started taping the shows later on, because I think initially Thunder was live, I think at first, and then they start taping it. It becomes a disaster.
Oh yeah. So in any event, Hogan showed up with Bischoff's. Saying Hogan is the real champion now. Now we're going back and forth with this. JD Dillon talks about finding people. Lex Luger's flipping out. It's like it's freaking chaos. What's going on here, man?
Yeah, because Lex Luger flipped out. I think Lex Luger interferes in somebody's match, and JJ Dillon's like, "Oh, you can't do that. We're gonna suspend and we're gonna fine." And Luger's right. Luger's like, "This has been going on for how long with the NWO?" And now all of a sudden, like, you want to take action on people that are retaliating. The NWO has been doing this for how long? Throwing people beatings every week in and week out.
Seriously, man. I mean, it's just enough of it. Too little, too late at this point. Yeah. So, and then right around that time, they had showed the Starrcade footage again of Hogan versus Sting. And I'm not going to get into that again. We already discussed it in detail. They show what happened when Nitro went off the air, the riot that ensued. So, I mean, at this point now, Randy Anderson gets knocked out from a Stinger splash. Sting had Hogan in the Scorpion Deathlock.
Yep.
Nick Patrick comes out. Sting hits him, but Hogan attacks Sting and rolls him up. Nick Patrick counts the 1, 2, 3. The bell rings. They keep fighting. Randy Anderson now gets back up. Sting makes Hogan tap to the Scorpion Deathlock. I mean, oh my God, here. Can we not get just a clean victory here?
Yeah.
This can't go over clean. I mean, good Lord, man. You're doing this for the second time.
I know.
Third, actually.
And
then to make matters worse, JD Dillon comes out. He has the belt. He's about to give it to Sting, and Bischoff comes out.
He kicked him in the head. He gave him I think Bischoff gives him a beating. I was laughing though. I was laughing and I was clapping. I was like, good.
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah, it was like enough.
And then you get the whole riot again. Now it's NWO versus WCW. I mean, this stuff is just getting like to the point where now it's like, all right, either come out with a clean victory of who the champion is, or just go in a different direction. But I mean, enough is enough at this point.
Oh, Lord, it doesn't make sense too, because JJ Dillon was going to give the belt to Sting.
Well, in actuality, it was right because Randy Anderson was the referee.
Yeah, it wasn't this guy. It was. Oh Lord.
This is Bischoff thinking that controversy creates cash and ratings.
Not in this case.
Well, at this point, the ratings were starting to come down a little bit because remember, once April rolls around, Raw became relevant again.
Yep.
So now the WCW Executive Committee, which I'm surprised they even have one. Yeah, exactly. Sting and Hogan come out. Dillon says that the title is vacant yet again. They might as well just have made a WCW vacant World Championship.
But here's my thing, and like I just said, kind of a second ago, I mean to repeat myself. Why would the title be vacant?
There's no reason for it.
There's no reason for it.
You had the right referee count, the right 3 count.
Right.
Sting was the champion. It's over.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they want to keep this.
They want to keep the storyline going. Yeah. So,
but the problem is, it's 2 months overdue now. At this point, it's like there's no point anymore.
They what does Sting say? I think Sting calls him a coward, right, or something like that. He calls JJ Dillon.
Yeah, something about you got no guts.
You got no guts.
Hogan, he's a dead man.
I did like that though. I did like that when he pointed at him. And you?
Oh yeah,
you're a dead man. That was great because Sting didn't talk besides saying Mamacita on.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at Starrcade.
He's like, you're a dead man, but he threw the belt. Okay, this was garbage, but
that was good.
That was good. Sting with what they gave him, Sting made the most of it by him throwing the belt, calling this guy a coward and telling Hogan you're a dead man and walking out, that was good.
That kind of maybe saved it for a little while. But and let's not forget, in addition to the title being vacated and all this stuff going on with Sting and Hogan, there's a guy sitting in the wing going, "Where's my title shot?" And that's Scott Hall.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Scott Hall won at World War III.
Yeah.
So he's technically the number one contender.
He's waiting it out. Yeah.
So I mean, vacant. Even if they would have never done a triple threat match. It would have made no sense. But I mean, yeah, he's still waiting in the wings, wondering, okay, whenever this is done, when am I getting my title shot? You know, they have to resolve the vacated championship for that. Now the new WCW commissioner, this gets better now, because now here comes Roddy Piper. Yep. Resolved that sold out January 24th by declaring that since there was no champion for him to face at Super Bowl, he would face the winner of the second Hogan Sting match at Uncensored
for the vacated title.
In any event, Hogan loses to Sting in the match for the vacated WCW title, of course, and was attacked by Savage later in the match. So now we got a champion. Yeah. It's Sting. Hallelujah.
It's Sting. Yeah. For now.
For now. Yeah. In any event, after Super Brawl, Savage then made his intentions clear that and declared that he no longer needed the NWO's help and to win matches, and Hogan had dropped the ball.
Sting does beat Scott Hall. He gets his title shot at Uncensored, and Sting takes him out.
Would have been nice if he beat him. It would have been a shock to the world if Scott Hall was a world champion.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, we always said that he could have been, but nobody gave him that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, in any event, with Savage now saying that Hogan dropped the ball and that he was going after Sting to try to bring the world title back to the NWO, which I thought was actually good now, because I like how they were having the competition between them, because they were trying to up each other.
Yeah.
And it was actually on Nitro and Thunder that they tried to do it over the next few weeks. And this led to a steel cage match at Uncensored in March, which ended obviously in a no contest. How does a steel cage match end in a no contest? I have no idea, but this is what Eric Bischoff does. The steel cage match is supposed to squash the rivalry. You guys beat the crap out of each other. You declare a winner. How is it a no contest? I don't know. Ask Eric. So in any event, the rift between the different factions of the NWO grew wider, especially after 6 or 1, 2, 3 kids, Sean Waltman, whatever you want to call him, who had been out injured since October, was released from his contract and sent to rehab for his ongoing alcoholism. And there was a backstage thing that Hogan did not like Sean Waltman. It was well documented. And when he cut the promo saying the little guy couldn't cut the mustard, I mean, that just fueled the fire for when X-Pac shows up in WWE and they let him go off on him. I mean, that was just classic. But supposedly
it was Bischoff and Hogan like getting rid of him just to let Scott Hall and Kevin Nash know, like, you guys don't.
Who's in charge?
Yeah, supposedly.
And I know Nash took this personally.
They were upset. Yeah, it was a big thing.
Because I mean, they were friends. They brought him in, and then just Hogan. They pulled another FedEx thing with all, like they did with Austin. They just by the way, we're not going to call you here. We're just going to send you this FedEx. You're fired. And I thought that was cowardly. I mean, if you're going to get rid of the guy, talk to him in front of his face. So thereafter, Hall was removed from television. After this, I don't know if that was punishment because of personal beef off the camera. Not sure. This also led to a confrontation between Nash, Bischoff, and Hogan on Thunder on March 26th, because again, you know, Sean Waltman's fired. Kevin Nash has a huge problem with it, and I don't blame him. So the differences between the NWO were becoming more apparent as Savage and Nash were subtly realizing that Hogan was only looking out for himself. It took him a year and a half, almost 2 years to figure this out.
Figured it out, yeah.
Because the first thing the NWO does when they were in existence is Hogan goes after the title.
Yeah.
Why didn't Kevin Nash? Why didn't Scott Hall? No, it was Hogan. Hogan's had the title dominantly for 2 years. You're just realizing this now? Come on. Again, this is Bischoff still telling the story. So, and the NWO was secondary to Hogan, which, again, obviously. Nash sided with Savage after Hogan interfered in a number of Sting Kevin Nash matches, not wanting to have to face Nash to take back the title. I love that part. And, you know, just going over all of this and seeing what's coming in the beginning of 99 is just like, oh my God.
Right, yeah. It's.
Oh my God.
Oh, Lord.
And I don't even want to talk about that right now, but thank God we don't. Nash supported his Savage in his quest to defeat Sting, obviously, but also agreed to team with Hogan against the returning Roddy Piper and the Giant. I love this: the baseball bat on a pole match.
And this is way before Vince Russo.
Oh, before we had the Viagra on a pole match, Judy Bagwell on a pole match. Yeah. Everything was on a pole match. Yeah. At Spring Stampede, Hogan and Nash defeated Piper and the Giant, but after the match, Hogan assaulted Nash.
Yep.
Like, here we go now with the chaos. Nash later helps Savage defeat Sting by hitting a powerbomb on the champions, earning Savage the win, and he gets the World Championship belt. So good for Savage. I don't care if Nash helped him. I always liked it when Savage was a champion. So Hogan now comes out the following, arguing that Savage has, quote unquote, his title.
Yeah, of course.
Well, he's out. Remember, he's out for himself.
Omega Powers explode again.
Lord, they're never going to end it with a stop at that. Hogan and the Disciple, aka Brutus Beefcake or the Regimmicker, whatever you want to call him, then attack Nash and Savage to close out the show. That was actually the first time they actually finished a Nitro where you just see the bodies laying there and they're actually done. They're not still doing it or Sting coming from the rafter. So the next night on Nitro, Hogan issued a challenge to the new champion. Gee, go figure there. For his title. And WCW Commissioner Piper made the match a no disqualification match. Now,
great idea. Great idea with Hogan.
But this is where another stipulation was put in that nobody adhered to. It was said no run-ins would be permitted. Right. But yet it happened. Savage and Nash made their own speech later where Nash said to Hogan, "Have a nice life." And I remember that vividly. I remember watching that. I was watching that Nitro, I believe, in its entirety because I was trying to figure out where they were going with this. And they implied that the NWO was not going to be together, at least in its current form, when the night was over. And I actually liked when they split it up. But when it started getting ridiculous later on. Late in the match, while Hogan and Savage were fighting in the corner, the Disciple enters the ring. Now, I remember saying a few minutes ago, no run-ins would be permitted.
I guess that's not considered a run-in because he was his manager, so that's just considered like interfering. I don't know, man. Don't try to make sense of this.
Well, not only does he enter the ring, but he gives Nick Patrick a neck breaker. Yeah. So now we're assaulting the referee. Oh, Lord. While this was allowed, due to the match being no disqualification, but we forgot the other stipulation.
Oh, yeah.
There was also meant that there was no way to stop Hogan and Disciple from doing whatever they wanted to Savage because there was no DQ. The Disciple hit his finisher, the Apocalypse, on Savage while the belt was draped over his shoulder. Just after this, a furious Nash charges into the ring to aid the fallen Savage. After Nash entered the ring, Bischoff comes back running, slid into the ring to intercept him. After tossing Bischoff aside, Nash nailed the jackknife powerbomb on Hogan. Now this is getting totally chaotic. Now it's just where the hell are we going with this? Lord. Any event. No, it gets better, though. It gets better. Hogan, as the match was still going on, Nash pulled Savage on top of Hogan and went to revive Nick Patrick. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a guy that we haven't even mentioned yet, Bret Hart.
Yep.
Mind you, we don't know what the hell he's doing here. Entered the ring. Hart picked up the belt, struck Nash with it, rolls Hogan back over Savage, and revived the referee so he can count the pinfall for Hogan. Remember, no run-ins.
What a cluster.
What the hell are they doing now? All of a sudden, Bret Hart with Hogan.
Why would Bret Hart be with Hogan? Makes no sense.
No. Now, although Hogan was a WCW champion for the fourth time, then appeared to have taken the reins of the NWO again, the members of the group itself were now going to choose whose side they would be on. And I actually like this part because now you didn't know, okay, it used to be which members of WCW was going to turn and go to the NWO. Now it's which members of the NWO were going to turn on Hogan and Nash. Mm-hmm. So the Wolfpack was actually formed, and then we had NWO Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Any event, moving on into the chaos. WCW Great American Bash, Hogan and Bret Hart versus Piper and Savage. When they signed this match, I actually thought this was going to be decent. But
on paper.
Yeah,
on paper, yeah.
Executed, not so much. Hogan and Brett won after Brett put Savage in the sharpshooter. In the meantime, a new contender for Hogan's championship emerged, an undefeated rookie, which I always wanted to know when it was that Goldberg was going to be put into the mix. I mean, you got this ludicrous record that he's beaten 140 guys at this point. Who knows? I mean, there's not even 140 guys in there. But at any rate, it was good for storytelling. When is this guy undefeated going to get a title match? Now, this is where I think, again, and we've talked about this extensively, where WCW dropped the ball yet again. On the July 2nd episode of Thunder, Goldberg was granted a title match against Hogan for the July 6th episode of Nitro.
Yep.
Number one, you only gave 4 days to promote this match for the Georgia Dome on Nitro. 40,000 people would be in attendance. If you did this as a pay-per-view, you could have put almost 100,000 people. We've talked about this extensively. This was a huge mistake.
They were just going for those ratings, man.
Because by now, Raw was starting to gain the traction, and they were winning a few weeks as this was coming around, especially with the Austin McMahon.
You've got, I mean, Goldberg's the U.S. champion at the time too, right? Champion versus champion. Could have been
not
built
only
up.
Yes, 4 days. You gave it 4 days. This could have been built up for a month. Get it even more heat, and even with what you did on Nitro that night, you could have still did at the pay-per-view. They made Hogan. They made Goldberg fight earlier in the night against Scott Hall.
He had to beat Scott Hall in order to get to Hogan.
Exactly, and then he gets to Hogan that match. That match was great. The spear, Goldberg executed it beautifully.
No, it was tremendous. Yeah, it was.
I remember Bobby Heenan going, "That's step one." Now on to step two, and he jackhammered him.
It was huge.
And I was really surprised that Hogan
put him over.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
I was actually surprised too.
And now he's got 2 titles. The place is going nuts. The rating on this, the draw was tremendous.
Yeah. Again, I remember watching this.
This was the first time I didn't care what the main event of Raw was. I was like, I'm watching this. I got to see this.
Yeah.
Because Goldberg was just tremendous, and now he's the world heavyweight champion. So, and after his loss to Goldberg, Hogan turned his attention to celebrity matches, one good, one shitty, for the next couple of months. Wrestling in 2 tag team matches at Bash at the Beach and Road Wild. Hogan won the first match, and this is the one I really liked. This was Hogan and Rodman versus DDP and Karl Malone. And I really thought that Malone actually could wrestle. He was a
great athlete. He tried. He was really, and he was into it.
Jacked. Oh yeah, he loved it.
That was DDP that got him in there because he was a fan of DDP, and he made the connection. And he told Bischoff, "Look, I could get Malone, and obviously Bischoff could get Rodman again because they worked with him before, and it was the whole NBA Finals rematch,
guys,
So
it was tremendous.
Bully Rodman was hungover though. They said that Rodman was hungover during that.
Yeah, go figure. Match. That's right. How many times was Scott Hall drunk in his matches? Come on, it's WCW. Paul White, big giant over there, smoking cigarettes while beating people up. It's whatever goes. And you didn't know how big Karl Malone was until he got in the ring, takes the shirt off, and now you're like, this dude is jacked. He actually could have did this for a career.
He was like 6'8", 6'9", chiseled. He was a big dude.
Yes, he was. Mm-hmm. And he could do the diamond cutter perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just amazing.
You could tell he was having fun. You could tell he wanted to be there.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed watching that match.
Yeah.
Now, the second match, oh my Lord. It was a culmination of a storyline involving several Tonight Show skits with Jay Leno, and I remember seeing this.
That was cool. The whole Tonight Show, them hijacking
it over.
Yeah, that was cool. But
the match,
you talk about a disgrace when Jay Leno had Hogan in that arm bar, and Hogan is selling it.
Yeah, even when he did a clothesline.
Come on, man.
It couldn't. No.
I know what they were trying to do again, get mainstream attention. It was free publicity. I get it. But certain things I just...
The Tonight Show skit, yes. Putting Jay Leno in the match, no.
No, they could have done something else. But
I mean, and then it wasn't even Rodman. And now it's Bischoff in there with Hogan against Leno and DDP. Was it DDP? Yeah. So, I mean, it was just this. The first one they should have left alone. The second one they should have just not even bothered.
Yeah.
Either that or Leno comes out and appoints somebody
to represent him or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. He's ringside for this, and then he like hits Hogan with something to get the victory for the.
Yep.
I mean, anything else but the way they did it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we should have been writing the Nitros back
seriously.
then. Because I'll tell you what, we knew it sold. In any event, this right after this led to it was a special moment on August 17th, 1998. I never thought this would happen because I really thought after his departure from WWE in '96 that was pretty much it for him. But the Ultimate Warrior emerged into WCW.
Yeah,
and this was big.
I had been reading the rumors for a long time about the Warrior coming into WCW because there had been no negotiations. The big rumor, I don't know if you remember this, the big rumor was it was Goldberg versus Warrior.
I would have loved that.
That they were gonna build a Goldberg. Goldberg was gonna still be undefeated, and the Warrior was gonna fight him. The Warrior may or may not have ended the streak. I don't know, but that was gonna be the big match. That was the rumor. But I
would have bought that pay-per-view. Definitely.
We all would have. But it ends up the Warrior debuts, and now he's the Warrior. He's not the Ultimate Warrior. He's just the Warrior.
Yeah. Well, I think because of the name was owned by
the lawsuit and
all
this kind of stuff. So,
in any event, he still looked great.
Yeah, he was in great shape. He comes down to most of you guys probably know the story. He comes down to the ring, he cuts that long promo, and Hogan gets angry about it because he said that he went into business for himself, which Hogan shouldn't talk about going into business. Seriously. And he thought, and I'm getting this from interviews I've seen Hogan and the DVDs and stuff. He was saying how you did the biggest no-no in the business. Why would you tell everybody that you beat me? Nobody's gonna buy the pay-per-view now. As if nobody knows that Hulk Hogan lost to the Ultimate Warrior.
You're not a wrestling fan if you didn't know that 8 years prior, Warrior beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Come on.
I think what really got to him was when Warrior said that you never, ever beat a Warrior. I think that's probably what set him off. Either way, this was kind of like it was a little bit too late. It was 8 years after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree.
They did a whole supernatural thing with Warrior, how he was appearing with
the OWN.
and in the mirror and all this other stuff.
Oh, I love it. It was the mind games were great.
Yeah, I mean, it was a more like cinematic, theatrical thing that they were trying to do.
And they brought in the one guy Hogan couldn't beat at the time, but again, only one match. Now at War Games, after a couple of minutes where barely anything happened, Hogan snuck in and laid out everybody except for Stevie Ray. Now the match was a #1 contenders match for the WCW title.
Yeah.
Diamond Dallas, and it had the who's who. This match could have been really great. DDP, Bret Hart, Stevie Ray, okay, Sting, Roddy Piper, Lex Luger, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, and the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Now, this is where Warrior came through. Is that trap door?
Yeah.
Because I remember the British Bulldog talking about he had an opening match where he said he quote unquote he fell and almost broke his leg or neck or some nonsense or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was the back. Yeah.
Whatever. His match was garbage anyway in the opening match. Once Hulk Hogan did that, the ring then filled with smoke, and a fake Warrior appeared who Hogan beat down. Why not? Fake Sting, fake Warrior. The smoke filled again, only this time the real Warrior came from the dressing room and went after Hogan. Hogan bailed and locked Warrior in the cage, but Warrior broke out and gave chase. With all of this going on, DDP hit Stevie Ray with the Diamond Cutter and won the match, setting up Halloween Havoc for Goldberg DDP.
This was the match that Warrior got injured. He messes up his bicep. I think he was hanging on the gate or something like that in that match. Yeah. And I think it was his bicep that he tore. It was some bad injury, but he actually, to his credit, he worked through it though, and he continued to work when other people would have just stayed home.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
unfortunately, we're going into Halloween Havoc. Yeah. And I think this was set up from the word go. I'm going to say this. You can put me on the record that I think Hogan only did this. Bischoff only brought him in to bury the man.
That's what Warrior said himself. Warrior said that.
I agree. And
he said he didn't know that initially, and had he known that, he probably wouldn't have came back. But at the same time, he got paid a lot of money to do very little work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just so Hogan get his win back. That's what Warrior said. That's what a lot of people have said. But
I agree with it.
But even if Hogan was going to go over, I mean, let's get to the point where the match was terrible. It was a stink fest. I don't know. I mean, Warrior wasn't the greatest technical wrestler. I don't know if Hogan was dogging it because they had a great match 8 years earlier. I know they're older now. They were doing a lot of dumb stuff with the fire. Remember Hogan he sets his eyelashes on fire when he tries to use fire paper, and it was just a stink fest of a match.
It really was. Yeah. And I mean, they continue talking about it even after that match. And then, of course, the main event we all know never was aired because they thought they
that was a
they
whole
were
other.
above the cable companies and all that nonsense. But this match truly was awful, and I really believe, and I'll say it again, Hogan and Bischoff brought Warrior in to bury him.
That's what we think. And
so Hogan could get that victory.
And he got his victory back, obviously. So,
oh my God. In any event, on the Thanksgiving episode of the Tonight Show now with Jay Leno, NWO Hollywood leader, Hulk Hogan, announced his retirement from professional wrestling, and Scott Steiner went on to assume the leadership of the NWO Hollywood faction, which we all know. When I heard Hogan say this, because I did watch it again, because I was like, oh God, please! I tuned in just to see that, to make sure that they didn't set up another celebrity match. And when he said this, I'm like, okay, there's got to be an angle. There's no way he's retiring, unless he actually, now that he beat Warrior and there was nobody left to beat. But we all know what was coming, and oh my God, I wish it never did. He also announced that he was going to be running for president in the upcoming election. Oh Lord. The NWO in the White House.
I remember they had, and then I remember something about they had balloons. I don't know if it might have been a Nitro after that. Something. I just remember there was like the white balloons and stuff. Came out with the white boa and everything. So I think it was right after that. He's going to run for president. Jesse Ventura said that he announced the run for president to mock him because of the whole governor thing.
Yeah.
That's what Ventura says. I don't know if it's true or not. But that pretty much wraps up 1998. So I think everybody knows what's coming up after this. What's coming up next?
If you think 98 was bad, wait until we start with 99. Yeah. Oh my Lord.
So you guys, please tell us what you think about Hogan in 98. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care.